Welcome to A Changed Life. This is a podcast about choosing differently, how you think, how you relate, and how you lead yourself. Here we focus on the inner shifts that create real momentum and open up what's possible next. There's something that quietly shapes the direction of your life. It's not just your beliefs or your habits or even the decisions that you make. It's the people you encounter along the way. Now, before we go any further, I want to make something very clear. This is not the conversation that you may have heard before about becoming the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Chances are you've heard that, and there's a lot of validity to that. But that's not the conversation that we're going to have today, because life and relationships are much more nuanced than that. This conversation isn't about judging the people around you. It's about understanding the different roles people play in your life. Some people will barely influence your life at all. Some people will challenge you. Some people will annoy you. Some people will hurt you. Some people will energize you. And a very small number of people who can actually accelerate your growth in ways that change the trajectory of your life. Once you start seeing these patterns, something really powerful happens. You stop being confused by certain relationships. You stop expecting the wrong things from the wrong people. And you can become much more intentional about who you learn from, who you listen to, and who you allow to influence the direction of your life. Over the years, both in my own life and in the work I do with clients, I've noticed that most people we encounter fall into 4 broad categories. Again, they're broad categories. It's not perfect. Human beings are always more complex than a category, but these 4 buckets help explain how influence actually works. So as we walk through them, I want you to do something. Okay, this is going to be an interactive podcast. I want you to think of a real person in your life, someone who fits each category. Because once you start seeing these patterns in your own relationships, a lot of things begin to make sense. So category number 1, we're going to call the neutral people. And this one is actually the biggest category of all 4 of them. Even all 4 of them, all the other 3 put together, this one is much bigger. Neutral people. So what are neutral people? These are actually the vast majority of the people that you will meet in your entire lifetime. Think about all the people who you've crossed paths with or have had seasonal or even several year relationship, and then poof, they're gone. And they're not just gone out of your life. You don't even really remember them. And this could be kids from school, classmates, teachers, coworkers, bosses, neighbors, people you met 5 years ago at a job, people you worked with every single day for years, and now you barely remember their last name. They weren't negative or unimportant or unexceptional. They weren't difficult. They might have been lovely people, but they didn't really change your life. And this is actually quite normal. Most of the people that we encounter will simply pass through our lives without leaving any kind of an imprint. They were there for maybe a season or a chapter or a moment, but they didn't shift your trajectory. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's important to recognize this category because it helps you to understand something very simple. Not every relationship needs to be deeply meaningful or transformational. Sometimes people are just simply part of the landscape of your life, and that's okay. But the next 3 categories, well, those are the ones that actually shape you. So now we're going to move into category 2. These are the people who aggravate or trigger you, because these are usually the people we want to get away from the fastest. These are the people who are annoying or aggravating, or they evoke anger. They bother you in some way. They trigger you. They get under your skin. They say something that pushes a button. They behave in a way that makes you feel angry and frustrated, defensive, or just deeply uncomfortable. And most of the time, our instinct is to say, I want that person out of my life as quickly as possible. And sometimes this is the right move. Healthy boundaries matter. But here's a deeper truth. People who trigger you often reveal something really important. They will reveal what you stand for. And they will reveal what you will not stand for, what you will not tolerate. They reveal where your boundaries are, and they reveal wounds that still may need some attention. They reveal places where you're still learning to hold your ground. In other words, they bring clarity, not just because they're right, because it has nothing to do with right or wrong, not because they're healthy or unhealthy, but because they activate a response in you that shows you something about yourself. And that information can be incredibly valuable. You still get to decide whether that person belongs in your life, but the lesson they bring can be life-changing. So before you dismiss someone or something that bothers you, aggravates you, triggers you, pause and ask yourself the bigger question. What is going on for me here? What is this revealing to me about me here? Oftentimes we put the focus on the other person and what's wrong with them and what they should or shouldn't be doing. But that's not the kind of question that's going to change your life. That's not the kind of question that's going to help you to know yourself better. So I want you to ask a different question. Now we're going to move into category 3. These are the activators. This is a totally different kind of influence. Activators are the people who help you move into action. They energize you. They motivate you. They help you get moving. Think about that friend who says, come on, let's do this. We've got this. Think it's something silly or seemingly benign, like cleaning out your closet. You know, that friend that comes over and sort of makes everything happen. Or the colleague who pushes you to finally launch the project or helps tease out an idea that you had. That workout partner who makes sure you actually show up. Activators create momentum in your life. They help you move. They help you stop procrastinating. They help you to break habits. And those people are incredibly valuable. Sometimes what we need most is simply someone who gets us into motion. And that is an activator. But there is still one category beyond this. And this category is actually the most rare. And that brings us to category 4. Accelerators. Accelerators are different. Accelerators don't just help you get moving. They help you move faster and further than you would if you were on your own. These are the people who shift your thinking. They expand your vision. They challenge your limitations. They help you see possibilities you didn't even think of, let alone see before. They shorten the learning curve. They actually compress and collapse time, and often they already have the result that you're trying to create. They're living something you want to learn from, not because they're perfect, because they're not, but because they're further down the path. Accelerators might be mentors or teachers, coaches, authors, leaders of some kind. Sometimes they are people whose work you study. And when you encounter an accelerator, your trajectory changes. Your progress speeds up, and suddenly things that might have taken 10 years begin happening in 2. These are really powerful relationships, and they deserve intentional attention, because when you want to change your life, you don't just want someone who activates you. You want someone who accelerates you, someone who can help you calibrate to a higher level of thinking, action, and possibility. So why does this matter? When you understand these 4 categories, something becomes much clearer. That every person in your life is meant to serve the same role. Neutral people, thousands of neutral people, they're going to come and go. People who trigger you will sometimes teach you something really important. Activators will help you get moving, and accelerators can change the trajectory of your life. The key is not to judge these roles. The key is to recognize them, because when you know who someone is in your life, you stop expecting them to be someone they're not. And you start making better choices about where you place your attention, your time, and your energy. So as you finish this episode, here's something to think about. Who in your life fits these categories? What buckets of people are your neutral people? Who's aggravated you or triggered you in ways that revealed something really, really important about you? Who are the people who activate you and help you move forward? And most importantly, who are the accelerators in your life? And if you can't immediately name one, maybe that's the invitation for you. Maybe it's time to find someone whose perspective and experience and leadership can help you move further, faster. Because a changed life rarely happens alone. It often happens in the presence of the right influence. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep moving forward. And I will see you in the next episode. If something in today's episode resonated with you, you'll find a link in the show notes to book a free consultation call. Or you can visit elisecraft.com to explore my programs and free resources. Nothing changes until you do. And when you do, everything does. This is a changed life. Not all at once, but for good.